from player to developer is kind of like the dream, that a lot of us have. My dream in particular has been to make a game, just like something that I can call my own, and something that's like genre defining and just ambitious and really grand. And even on Planetside too, I've had a lot of agency, but I don't think that's we're not at that point. But maybe if there's future projects, I'll be able to accomplish my goal, and then go into the spiraling decline that gold medal Olympiasts do. After they've reached the peak of their career. Yeah, but no, the story is it is pretty good. Like every step that I've kind of taken has been toward this goal in some way or another.
Well, why don't you take us through it? I know that you started making Planetside YouTube videos as far back as 2012. Is that where the story starts for you? What's a logical starting point to your mind?
Yeah. So that is probably a good starting point. I think I was in the Navy at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and was working on this side, the YouTube stuff. I've done videos in the past, like Warcraft or World of Warcraft, and then Warcraft 3 videos and that sort of thing. Just video creation in general is something that I've kind of enjoyed doing, and in game design like as well. Just like the little, I have journals and journals and journals and journals of just like ideas for games, or just like classes inside of games and all that sort of fun stuff. And I think that most people probably have like most people who aspire to being in game design probably have do something similar. But yeah, with my channel, it was really more of a, like, I didn't go into it saying like, hey, I want to do YouTube for a living. Yeah, totally defeats the point. It's more like, I really like making videos, and what can I do that's like helpful. And actually my kick was interesting, helpful, and entertaining. Those are kind of the three pillars that I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to achieve with my channel. And yeah, it just kind of went up from there. I mean, there was a lot of people when the game launched. I was doing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer content, I think,
Mm-hmm.
at the time, and there wasn't really like a niche for that. It doesn't seem like I was able to do anything that other people weren't already doing.
Mm-hmm.
But Planetside 2 had launched, and I was really interested in the game, and it was just a lot of fun. And there were a lot of content creators who were like, you had Total Biscuit, you had Level Cap, you had Sergeant Merrill
A lot of
doing
big
stuff.
names who were
Oh,
big
yeah,
before Planetside.
yeah. And then a lot of like mid-tier channels who are kind of doing like Kool-Aid Line. I used to watch all the time. STL Youngblood, he does Star Citizen stuff now. I was following them, and like I just kept going in my little niche, and doing my videos, and eventually a lot of them fell off or moved to something else, and I think that kind of helped solidify what I was doing, or like my place as a content creator.
Okay.
Just the consistency, creating the stuff. Like obviously there was a need for it.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to uh, Planetside 2 in general, like new player experience is really awful.
Yes.
Continues to be awful. So making videos was that was like an angle for me. It was just I tried to help new players at like every turn. So that was something that they were able to kind of latch onto. And let's see, and that's
So yeah, you
yeah.
were at this point you had we're talking like maybe 2013, 2014. You become established as a Planetside YouTuber. You're the guy people go to for weapon reviews. You're the guy people go to
Mhm.
for how do I play Heavy Assault? How do I play Infiltrator? You're doing a lot of these how-to videos, and also some news updates as well, some overviews of systems when they come in the game.
Mhm.
All great content. You're so now take me back to 2015. This is the
I
timeline
couldn't
as I
even remember
understand
back
it,
that far.
and I might. Well, I hope you remember. But late 2015, you're still making YouTube videos for Planetside, and then in January 2016, you upload a video saying, "Hey, I'm working with Daybreak Games, the then studio for Planetside."
Mhm.
What happened between making videos on YouTube in 2015 and that video. How did that relationship kind of get started?
Was it in 2015?
I think
I
so. It was
Okay.
your
Yeah,
life, so you should correct me if I'm
well,
wrong.
see, the thing is that, like, it's all a blur
Fair
to
enough.
me, but, yeah, no, I was originally doing contract work for them pretty early on,
How did that get
so,
started though? Did they just like email you? Did you email them? Like, what was it like? Do you remember?
uh, let's see, so, David Carey was the producer of the game, I guess, 5 years ago now,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
maybe, and, I was at SOE Live, um, pr during a year at some point. And I had talked to him, and he mentioned to me that there's not just one way to get into the games industry.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of people go through QA and they kind of work their way, into those roles.
Right.
Uh, but really, what it comes down to, and this is totally not verbatim, and a lot of it is just like the message that I was getting from him, is just like the passion and the interest and the willingness to like do the work. And that was kind of where I was at with just the channel. And anybody who has run a YouTube channel, which is probably not many people in the audience, or uh, just in general, I guess, it's actual work. Believe it or not, it is. There's definitely some clickbaity stuff that you can do, to up views and that sort of thing, and that's totally not my kick. But it's like making one video is at least uh 8 to 24 hours, depending on the length of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know make at least 4 week, more preferably. And if they have, like, if you're doing substantial content within them too, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard work. um yeah, and then you don't get paid for it, not really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the money that I was making from YouTube was not worth mentioning. um I had
What
a
was your peak
Patreon.
subscriber count? I think you had like that's like 76.
85,000.
So
It's
85K,
around.
not
Yeah.
making dough.
Oh, no, no, no. Well, yeah, even then, like, it's less than you can live off of.
Mm-hmm.
I think the majority of my income was actually coming from Patreon. So that's people who like they thought that what I was doing was important in some way or another,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted to contribute to do that. Um, the like, outside of just the weapon reviews and the new player stuff and and whatever else, I really like to do this series called Thoughts on Better Gaming,
Yeah.
which is more it's more like philosophical or like sociological, depending on
Tell
the
me about
video.
that. What inspired those videos?
That's a good question. I don't know. Please do not go sub to my Patreon. I don't know if it's still up. It might still be up. Uh, Hopefully, most people have fallen off. I think I have a disclaimer on it.
Well, you clearly this was a work of passion for you.
Mhm.
Um, I don't get the sense that you were working on YouTube videos with the hope that someone would notice you and ask you to join the team. It was kind of one thing
Right.
going to the other, right? But
Yeah.
the idea
So.
that passion reads, I think, is evergreen. You can't. It's something you
Mm.
can't fake, and people recognize. I think most people recognize the amount of effort that it takes to make a YouTube video of a really complicated game system to get footage to make it look nice, presentable, and more importantly, to be consistent with those things. Something that I've struggled with is, I mean, my content is just sitting down and talking to someone and then putting it on YouTube, and I find it hard to be regular with that. What you were doing was a lot more involved. So,
You're doing a great job, by the way.
well,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah.
I'm trying to parlay my experience running corporate conference calls into talking about video games. You all can let me know how it's going.
Yeah.
um,
It's good.
but yeah, so talking about getting started with then Daybreak Gaming. David Carey, you said there's more
Mhm.
than one way in, not just the traditional QA route. So then, what door did that open for you?
I Let's see. So the details are all kind of fuzzy. I'd have to go back through emails from years and years and years ago. But at one point, I was asked to interview like fly down to California, and which I did, and I met everybody there. And let's see, I can't remember if this was before the contract work or I think it was no, it was before the contract work. So I went down there, did an interview, and this was after getting a message from Andy Seitz.
Mm.
I think David Carey had split from the company at the time. They'd gone through whatever number of layoff it was
Yeah,
on at the
that was a
time.
big year for the team. 2015 is when it went being SOE to Daybreak, right?
Yeah, is that when PS4 released as well? I think
Let's see.
so.
Someone in the chat can correct us.
Yeah. But that was kind of a part of the process too. So I went down and I interviewed and got to talk to each individual on the team. And I was kind of like fanboying because as a gamer,
Yeah.
I'd seen these people. It's so funny. I had seen these people that comment on like Reddit threads and stuff, and they'd share this or they talk about that, or you'd see them in there was like videos that SOE did way back, just like doing like little cheesy interview videos, and there's like the work in progress streams and everything else, that kind of came along with it, and like I got to meet them right on the game that I love and doing things on, uh, and that yeah,
What
I
was that like?
forget how exciting that was. Yeah, it's when you don't think about it now, right? And I kind of yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about in
'Cause
general, I
the
think.
the you that you are now would be over it because you've been in those shoes now. But looking back,
Yeah, I don't necessarily know. I mean, over it's probably not like the
okay,
right
okay.
word. Like I still am like really excited to meet people who work on other projects. Not that I've met many, um, but yeah. So maybe that's just like an inherent uh, game gamer thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's weird.
Yeah, designer being excited about meeting other designers, people who work on games. It's totally natural. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you flew down, you interviewed,
Mhm.
then what happened?
I tried to convince Andy Seitz not to hire me. Uh,
Why would you do that?
so basically, uh, what I told him was that okay, so here's the candid stuff. So we
Oh,
go sit down and I meet with everybody, and got some questions from Luke Sigmund, and I got some questions from Kriegshauser and Bishop and that sort of thing, and talk to everybody who was around, and then I sit in with Andy Seitz and I'm talking to him and I'm saying that I like I don't have any experience in the games industry. Like what you guys need right now is probably a coder so you can make the game better. And like that was my concern. Because I really really like this game. uh,
oh,
but he said that like spots for designers are opening up like when we because we're about to ship PS4 and whatever else, or something along those lines. But I was like, uh, I told him basically that I absolutely had to work from Connecticut, because I have a family and everything else. And he said like, we'll see what we can do, set you up and that sort of thing. And we did, uh, but not right away. I think that there was like a long period during the PS4 launch. I don't know what was going on there at the time, but I got like ghosted for a few months or a couple months at the very least. And then I get an email later. My recollection could be faulty. There could be some missing steps or some misinformation here, some fake news, but this is how I remember it.
okay.
And so I get the email, and then I can't remember. I I want to say that I went down there again. I could be wrong about that, but either way,
Man,
I
Wrel.
started doing contract work for them out in
Okay.
Connecticut,
Uh-huh.
and this was a very interesting experience because basically, like they sent me a computer that it was just like a work computer, and it has like I can connect to all our tool sets and that sort of thing. Um, and I was since I was just there on my own, nobody's like sitting there saying like, ah, this is how you do this and this is how you do this. I was just going into design tool and like ripping things apart and like reverse engineering everything that I
Mm-hmm.
possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
It was at one point actually I created a bunch of new vehicle stuff that they got in trouble for. So I had to delete it all. It was like new abilities for the Vanguard, the Prowler, and
Like
the
what?
Lightning, and then the Mag Rider. Let's see. All right. Well, people are gonna hate on me for this. Remember, I was younger. Let's see. I did Empire specific abilities for the Lightning. So
Oh.
like one was like a lockdown for the Lightning.
Mhm.
One was for the Terran, obviously. One was a mag burner for the Lightning, which just went forward, but it was like amazing.
Is
Um,
yeah.
and then one was a shield, just to mirror all the faction traits, but
Right.
on the smaller platform. Um, Realistically, I don't know if the Lightning would actually, you know what? I think all those abilities probably could work. Um,
Yeah.
and then for the Prowler, I did it was something like akin to doing like hitting an e-brake. Like it'd make you go into this stealth mode, like it basically give you stealth, and then it'd make your treads slip, but intentionally, so you can kind of like sneak in on people. And it was just like it's more like an interesting idea than anything else.
Sneaky
It changed
prowler.
the handling characteristics. Yeah, yeah. So imagine sledding, right? Or just like
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, and it killed all of your engine audio, and it killed all of your particles and everything else. So just like you just like would
Is it like
slide into.
drifting?
Yeah, yeah. So you can go in an angle, like slide in, and then like fire at people or whatever, and then you let off the space bar or whatever it was, and then you could start going again. And actually, you can move faster uh, than you could normally, just like by using the terrain.
Uh-huh.
So it was fun. Uh, Probably doesn't make sense for that to be in the game, but
Oh, it
super
sounds
fun.
so fun though.
Super fun.
Also, the idea of a
Uh,
mag burning lightning is going to be burned into my head now. I have to think about that one.
yeah, yeah, no, and it had like super harsh thrust, so just like you'd ramp off of things. Um, and then let's see, the Mag Rider one was what was it? Yeah, I can't remember. Can't remember what the Mag Rider one was. But the Vanguard was like a low scale turbo. So basically, the thought was like, what would NC do if they wanted the Mag or their Vanguard to go faster? Oh, they'd probably just strap a big rocket on the back, like a rocket
Hmm.
engine.
Hmm.
But it was like that. It would just like it'd help you get up hills, basically.
Mm.
So it wasn't like a thrust like the Mag
Like a
Rider.
torque boost kind of
It was,
idea.
yeah, yeah. It was like a consistent, sort of thing, and I thought that was really cool too. Um, Actually, you know what? And then I did a second one. That was
It's all coming
different,
back
very
now.
very different. Yeah, yeah. But this was for the Vanguard as well. And what it did is it turned you invisible. Now, turned you invisible, right? But like, it did it in a way that didn't cloak you. It actually like disintegrated your chassis. So all you would see was like the particle trails of the Vanguard, like at a distance, and then it'd rematerialize. You couldn't turn it on, you couldn't toggle it, but it was on, and then you go and you sneak into position, and then you like rematerialize. Kind of like the cordium veins, like when you deplete them, like they
Yeah,
kind of dissolve.
I
Yeah,
can
it's the same
imagine.
thing, but in reverse. Um,
So you got in
but yeah,
trouble for all
anyway,
that.
so yeah, I got in trouble for that, uh, and yeah, it was more like hey, don't do this, like unless we have something specific that we want to do. But for me, it was more about making things. Like I love to create. The act of creation is something that I'm really passionate about, and that's kind of helped propel me
Hmm.
through the years, of especially of having smaller team and that sort of thing.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about the transition from being an independent contractor to working there full time. How did that happen?
I so just for clarity's sake, I wasn't an independent contractor per se. Like I think I was actually on the team, like as a, well, no, maybe that's not right. As a remote contractor. Anyway,
You were
they
remote
told me
though.
that, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was in Connecticut. They basically said that you have to come to California if you want to keep working on the game, and that was due primarily to the fact that like they needed to treat me as an employee based on the amount of control that I had. Usually, when you're doing contract work, I think that the tasks are more well defined, but for me, it was more nebulous, and I had access to a lot of the tools and everything else. So they had to treat me like an employee, and in order for them to do that, due to California law, and hopefully I'm correct on this. I had to at least live somewhere in California. Uh, so
Gotcha.
that's what it came down to. And
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it was an easy decision at all.
You moved your family with you?
No, no. So
Oh wow, that's tough.
yes, which
Wow.
is why it was not an easy decision at all. But yeah, yeah, it was. We talked about it, and like the best thing for me was to try to do what I always wanted to do.
Wow. So, Rel, you picked up and went to California. And when you got there, was it any different, or were you just doing the same work in a different place?
Um, so yeah, I think the main thing that was different was just being able to interact with everybody,
Hmm.
like everybody that I already had kind of like. I mean, not even like met everybody. I don't think. I think there was at least a few people that I hadn't, but just to kind of like work alongside people. I don't know. It's like surreal and crazy. And then also,
What were some of the
uh,
highlights? Who was
so,
the most not like you expected out of the whole group?
I can't say that people weren't like what I expected, but there was a lot of
Okay.
really cool personalities there. Like Bill Yates, who now he's up in I think Seattle-ish, working on Cryptic or at
Hmm.
Cryptic right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, he was lead artist at the time, and he has this kind of like I don't know, just like he's just a really happy, like jovial dude. So that was fun to be around. And and then there was like people that I didn't get to spend too much time with. Red Daughter had he was a UI programmer, and he had left shortly after I had got there. Um, and I would remember like him chiming into to certain Reddit threads and that sort of thing, and I
Hmm.
thought that was cool. So it's just like yeah, it was just cool, like actually living it. But like because I had kind of already been doing the work, uh, what I really enjoyed is that I can go there anytime in the morning and just do work.
Hmm.
Like I was there at like 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, um, and just like just making things, and it was I love it so much.
It sounds like it was
Yeah.
a real I don't know, like a liberation. Like you were there on your own, like, and I'm sure that posed challenges of its own. But being there
Mhm.
by yourself on your own steam and being having access to everything. What kind of problems or initiatives were you most excited to work on at that stage?
Ooh, so when I got there, uh, if I'm remembering the timetable correctly, that was like I didn't actually get to spend too much time working with Kebmo and Burness, both of which I had admiration for,
Hmm.
because they were moved off to a different project. I think they moved off to H1Z1 at the time,
Right.
because that was when like H1Z1 was just going off the charts, and they were like king of the genre, and everybody's popping champagne bottles and whatever else. I don't know if that actually happened. It probably did. I imagine so. But basically, like it was like put all the chips into H1Z1, which included a lot of people from Planetside, the Planetside 2 team, and I was new, uh, like there, and then Nick was he got there shortly after me. Paul Jaja was actually there before me, working in house, and then it was just us three. It's just like, okay, make the game go. And we're all learning too,
Holy shit.
and that was just the core team. Like we still got some support uh, from like art support from Bishop or from Bill or I think maybe project management support from Jason Good.
Hmm.
Uh, it's so like we weren't just like left flapping, but Nick was like taking on the product management role, and then Paul had actually been he was actually recruited to work on a different game, but he ended up getting kind of stuck on Planetside 2, and I'm glad that he did because he is he likes to figure things out, and I think he was doing pretty well, like kind of like
That kind
given
of self-driven
our
quality.
position.
Hmm.
Yeah. For like when he has something that he wants to do, it's just like he'll figure it out. And
Mm.
he's a really good shepherd of the code base too, which given
Ah,
the history of the game, there's been a lot of coders at different points throughout the history. So he was really trying to drive it forward, and create something better, from then on out.
wow.
Yeah.
So three people
Hmm.
who you were the only three people who were working full time on Planetside. You had help from outside,
Hmm.
from other specialties, let's say coding, art, PM, like you said. But it was you three guys at the core. Um, how hard was it at that time to? I don't even know how to formulate this question. I just can't imagine working on a game the size of Planetside with three people. I have more people than that on my team, and we do
Yeah.
something a lot smaller than Planetside, and it feels pretty hard.
S- So I don't think it was hard. I think it was frustrating. Um, because like anytime you have ambition, you know, and don't have the resources to accomplish it, it's like kind of a kick in the nuts. But like we, just kept doing and kept making, uh, and we wanted to grow the game out, and I think we did, or like at the very least staunch the bleeding, which was like one of my goals at the time. And yeah, I think toward the start, if I'm remembering correctly, like I was doing a lot of quality of life stuff, and I was doing a lot of it's kind of like lower key stuff,
Hmm.
and like all the new events for holiday directives, like updating those, like that was another thing that happened. You had the
Hmm.
same Halloween event for 4 years or whatever it was.
Right.
uh just like so kind of taking it slow, but also doing like big updates in any way that we could do big
Hmm.
updates. Actually, I know you got a bullet point talking about combined arms, but that actually was with when I had Burness and Kevmo available, and that's like basically all we had was design, design work or design resources. That was nice.
In years, the last video you put on YouTube, 5 years of Planetside, it's called. You had a pretty great spirit to it, and it really, if you go back and watch it, then you hear you talking as though it's like you just come out of a major conflict almost. Like you saw greener pastures ahead. You talked about how the dev team was doubling up to a unimaginable size of
This
six.
right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You talked about plans for then 2018, which was coming up. And you said that things were now in place so that the game could grow. I
Hmm.
wonder if you could talk about some of the things that happened leading up to that video that put you in that position. What was that team of three able to accomplish that moved the needle?
It's a good question. It was so long ago. Implants was definitely a big thing that we
Okay.
did, like completely reversed the financial trajectory of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and also just made the system better because it sucked. Uh, and that continues to be like something that helps sustain us financially. So like that is, I'm downplaying it a little bit, but it was really really important. Um, and in doing so, like because of like that system and some of the other stuff that we're doing, like we were able to hire on three people,
Mm-hmm.
and like one of which was a UI programmer, which we didn't have.
Need that.
Actually, yeah, well, one of the other UI programmers was helping us with the implants implementation, but that was on temporary loan. So just
Mm-hmm.
clarify. Uh, yeah, and then we picked up another programmer. We picked up another designer, and like we were in good shape, at least, or so I thought.
Sure.
But
Sure.
as ambitions increase, and then also the ramp up time, it's like the ramp up time is pretty substantial for this for this game, and then just like especially the code base and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So the time it takes from
yeah,
from the day someone comes on, joins a team, to the time that they're really independent and able to get things
right.
done efficiently. After
That's
this
fair.
video you published at the end of 2017, 5 years of Planetside. You said something very interesting at the end of it that I wrote out here. You signed off that video with a really passionate kind of speech about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, new player experience and outfits and all
Uh-huh.
these great things. And then you kind of chuckled and said, unless management throws a monkey wrench at us.
Right.
So in
Uh,
2018, did that happen?
Probably. I think it's happened at probably every turn that the game has had.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. There was a lot of the just the history in general is kind of tumultuous. So you could have the best intentions, but sometimes things don't work out. And I wouldn't even say that's all like entirely management's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Wink, wink. but
Mm-hmm.
but no, like a lot of it came down to just like sometimes you one of the problems that I have, I think, is being too ambitious. So I like have a really large scope, and then we have a really small team. So uh, things take longer than they probably should, and then there's always the roadblocks, which were unaccounted for at the time. And yeah, it was quite the learning experience. I've learned a lot in almost 4 years now.
Wow. 4 years, man.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be 4 years in October is when I officially came down here.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that year of 2018, in my notes, I don't have a lot to say about it until the very end of it, when a very interesting pivot in Planetside happened, which was uh, a round of layoffs, um, forever subscriptions, and the announcement of Planetside Arena.
Hmm.
So, how did the announcement of Planetside Arena affect how you worked on Planetside 2?
Uh, so I think that there was a lot of potential good that could have come out of Arena. Like there were some like intentions to like co-develop the games side by side, and that like helped get us DX11. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doing Arena was a good excuse for us to get DX11, and I say excuse because you need. So here's the thing. Um, when it comes to creating like a successful game, a lot of that success is measured in financials.
Yeah.
And like we as developers need to balance the needs of the community with the needs of the company and the needs of the game as well. Uh, and that mean like the community needs to be like feel like energized and or placated or whatever. Company needs to have the cheddar, and then the game needs to go where we want it to go. Like if we have a goal and a vision for where we want to take it. And a lot of times, well, I shouldn't say a lot of times. Sometimes those things don't mesh up. Um, and for us, like Planetside Arena, like we weren't making. I would say, like we definitely weren't making enough money to say like, ah, yes, DX11, please do this. Your game has a bright shining future ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, it was more like you guys are doing a good job over here. So like just do that. Like that was what our team was. Um, so like whatever we could get from Arena was like a good thing for us. And DX11 was a big part of that. Came over to the game. Unfortunately, just given the kind of the rigors of developing Arena, like we didn't have the support to like fix all the issues that came with the X11,
Mm.
and it left Planetside 2 in a really crappy state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then leading up to that, just the development. Before that, there was like 6 months without good content for Planetside 2, and
Mm-hmm.
that was very detrimental to the game. And a lot of that was like kind of banking our development on like what was happening with Arena, but there was
Mm.
like there was a lot of like I don't want to get into it, but there was a lot of stuff happening on that project completely separate from us, and where it probably like we if I like know now what I wait if I knew then what I know now, we probably would have went a different direction with Planetside 2, and like maybe not invested so heavily in these like specific like the specific things the content that we're trying to do. I think NS or Black Ops, like we probably wouldn't
Right.
even have done it. Um, and then that was like the big hand wavy thing that came along with DX11. So like those two things probably just would have went in a different direction,
Mm.
honestly. And then like when things were stabilized on the other team, like we could have then started to integrate it, but we were trying to like hit our beat to fix um, to like fix the trajectory of the game. But unfortunately, like just due to kind of the just the this collision of factors, it just didn't play out that way. So, and that happens. I mean, you take your you place your bets on what you think you should do, and sometimes those pay out, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think looking back at it, it's pretty easy to see um, the connection between the two games and maybe how there was well, I mean, like you said, you have to develop a few patches out. And when
Mm-hmm.
there's a new game and you're sharing team members with that new game, there's expectations of success and uh, and honestly, just dollar signs that come with that. And when things don't go that way, and Planetside Arena, don't want to hash it out because I know you're not the guy, but it just did not seem to catch.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So, okay. I talked about a sequence of events at the end of 2018. I want to fast forward now to the end of 2019, where a few things happened, kind of in an order that I think seems connected, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. First thing is big round of layoffs in October.
Mm.
Next thing that happened is the announcement that Planetside Arena is shutting down. That was in December, I think. And then in January, um, Rogue Planet Games gets announced. And there's a big letter from Andy Seitz, and he teases out the magic word Planetside 3, which we don't have to talk about right now, but
Or ever,
or
maybe.
ever. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a history-laden statement to me.
No,
But
no, it's
are
fine.
these can you take us through those events at the end of that year, the events leading up to Rogue Planet happening? What was that like for you?
That was such a blur. Yeah, so Arena is kind of doing their thing, and then God, just the timing with like Apex Legends and everything else was
Yes.
uh yeah, it's
So for those who don't know, originally, um, Planetside Arena was set to debut at the end of January 2019. It was delayed to March, and then immediately after that announcement was made, Apex Legends just came out. A huge, incredibly well polished battle royale game, which is exactly what Arena was part of what Arena was trying to do. Um, and then things seemed to go back to the drawing board, and then eventually, like we said, that just didn't catch. But sorry, continue. Please continue.
yeah. And there's a whole lot encapsulated in there that I totally don't want to talk about.
Fair enough.
And it's not my place to do that. But
Yeah.
the so see on our team, we're kind of just like trying to keep things going, like trying to resolve. Like I think honestly, fixing DX11 bugs took the vast majority of our time, like for a long amount of time.
Wow.
And then NSO too was just like it was a lot of work to try to alleviate. Like it still has issues,
Hmm.
and at the same time, like trying to keep up the some sort of content cadence. Like we're doing the summer stuff and just like events in general, and keeping all that going. But I think at the end of the day, like what it came down to is that uh, in typical kind of like corporate fashion is like things needed to be cut somewhere, and then some decisions were made, and then surprise, layoffs happened. So for my team in particular, it was really kind of heartbreaking,
Mm.
because we had survived a fair amount of layoffs. I think maybe two prior or something like that, and we were kind of always looked at as like you have such a small team and you're able to do so much, and maybe the community would disagree, but if you go back and look at all the patch notes, like we did a lot over the
Hmm.
years, and especially given our team size. And so as far as like net profit, we were doing like doing very well for a long period of time. And then there was that slowdown, toward the end of the year. And then, how much of that factors in, I don't know. But yeah, so I end up losing Drew and Paul and Garrett too. So it's just oh, I'm sorry. No, it was yeah, no, it was Drew, Paul, Garrett, Nick, and it was just me and Zach left.
Wow.
And that was weird. So
Yeah.
yeah, uh,
Okay.
and yeah, I cried. uh, I did. Yeah, people, especially around the
Sad.
office, I'm very kind of stoic most of the time, and I think my team at the time like totally like rarely ever see me eschew emotion. So yeah, so that happened.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah.
That's rough. So Rel literally, and I'm not trying to make fun of you, but literally in tears. And then 3 months later, Rogue Planet Games is a thing, and your team is 10 times that size.
Right.
How connect these things for me?
I mean, what it came down to is that there was a lot of more experienced people from the arena team that is not like so one of the things that I think is important is that you kind of hire for like experience and then skill,
Hmm.
not necessarily like the job roles that you need at the time. I mean that's at least my
Hire the
mentality, and I think
person,
it was
not the job. That kind of idea.
yeah, I think that was Daybreak's mentality, kind of early on too. But yeah, like once it's like actually really difficult to hire, at least like especially on a game this old.
Hmm.
Uh, so you have a whole bunch of people who still totally you want to hang around, and they get rolled into Planetside too. And then we're like in the lab, just coming up with the next big thing. And Escalation was a culmination of like 5 months of work.
Ah, that was one of
So
my
yeah,
questions.
so that
Huge
was like
update.
yeah, we weren't Rogue Planet Studios, publicly for quite a while,
Uh-huh.
after the team got rolled into PlanetSide too.
Okay.
So we were able, yeah, we're just like we're doing stuff, just lots of work and lots of discussions, and there was like a lot of I don't know, just like a lot of new blood and excitement. I say new blood, but it's um for me it was all new.
Well, it was new creative
So
energy because you were bringing people who
yeah,
hadn't been working together on the same things to work on
yeah,
together on this thing called Planetside, and I
yeah.
respect that. You're the lead game designer now of this amazing new studio, birthed from the old one, Rogue Planet Games,
Hmm.
and you've just released Escalation, a critically well received expansion that I think has succeeded in bringing back a lot of players. I've been watching Steam charts. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but I looked at some of the old trends, and I see things like construction and other things like that, where the player base is the same 2 months after that it was 2 months before.
Right.
I'm not seeing that now. It seems like we are seeing a semi-permanent increase in players. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely the better. I honestly don't know what the numbers are off the top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but and a lot of people are kind of chalking some of that stuff up to COVID too. And honestly, I think
Yeah.
it certainly doesn't hurt us. But I I think that using COVID as a cop out is kind of uh it's an excuse that kind of demeans the efforts of the update. But
Hmm.
the I think that there's probably like enough in game and based on the um, targets that we were going for, where we brought back like enough of the right people who are more interested in sticking around for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So and then like also it's just we need to constantly be doing really interesting things moving forward. Personally, I measure success based on like motivation based on momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So provided we can like maintain this momentum, then hopefully we'll get to a good spot where we can start to increase populations over time. That's my wild dream. Um,
It seems to be a big through line for you.
It really is. Yeah, because it's something, and yeah, I mean, not to go back, but like that's where a lot of the frustration um came from, like on the smaller team, is just like I really wanted to fix the game, but it just wasn't enough, time or hands, to do that.
Hmm.
Um, so like maybe there's an opportunity now, but realistically, like when it comes down to it, like very rarely do games reverse course.
Hmm.
So, uh, but the only thing that we can do is kind of like keep keep on keeping on, because like we have something special here. Obviously, there's a desire for it. We are like pioneering this genre, so there's a lot of exploring left to do, and um, like all these lessons will like undoubtedly be able to translate into future projects as well. So yeah, so I mean it's all good. I think one of my goals, that my dream, my real only dream, honestly, is to make a game. So whether that is a um whether it's Planetside 3, which I think every designer on the team has a design document for Planetside 3.
I think you're right.
So it's just like a thing that's like of course we want to work on a new game. Like who wouldn't want to work on a new game?
One of the
Um,
questions I've written down here is, what's the first word that comes to your mind when I say Planetside 3?
Meh.
Oh, ooh, ooh,
See,
ooh,
and the thing
ooh.
is that, and there's so to kind of bring that around. The thing is that there's a lot that we could do. And I certainly have design documents for a Planetside 3, and all the other designers have, their visions of what a Planetside 3 could mean. Um, I think that if we were to do like, I feel like it could even be a new IP. Like that's kind of the direction that I would like to see. But at the same time, you risk ticking off the Planetside 2 community that like would want a Planetside 3, right?
Hmm.
And I certainly want a Planetside 3. I would like to erase all the mistakes of the past and kind of like start fresh, obviously. Um, but I feel like it would be really cool to work on something that wasn't that too. Um,
Is that like just a creative interest thing? I mean, I think it's important people who are creative to work on different things and to iterate over time. You look at like I know like when I was younger, I had my favorite bands, right? And they put out an album that I loved. And I'd always get frustrated when they put out another album and they're like, "Oh, well, we're changing creatively." And they didn't
mm,
just make another version of the thing that I really loved. That always
right.
annoyed me. Over the
Yeah.
years, I eventually realized, "Oh, well, that's what people do.
Hmm.
Creators especially." Is that kind of the instinct that you're describing?
It's yeah. No, I mean it's. I don't want to even call it an instinct. Like I have like journals of game ideas and everything, and like I can choose one from a hat and say like oh, this would be fun to make. But at the same time, like Planetside 3 is fine. Like it's established IP. Like I have no qualms um to make it. And in fact, I certainly would love to make Planetside 3. I've pushed my game design documents in front of many a studio goer. But
Hmm.
what I would really like to see is something to like kind of in the same sphere, but would be more extreme, especially when it comes to the asymmetry.
Hmm.
Uh, I would really love, not that I'm pitching myself at Bioware, but I would really love to make like a Planetside 3 or Planetside 2 style game, but like in the Mass Effect universe. I think that would be like
Oh.
so interesting. Or even like a universe of StarCraft. They might be working on it now. I hope they are.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that
Yeah,
sort of game.
StarCraft
Oh,
being three factions, tons of
yeah,
asymmetry. It's like
yeah.
there's an obvious connection there.
It excites me so much that even
Ooh.
like something like that could even exist. And that's what gets me going, is just like what can you do this like really um like that defies expectations, that is this ambitious and grand and awesome. Because like the formulaic nonsense, I mean, I'm sure Assassin's Creed games are good, but like, I don't want to make another one of those. Or just like,
I'm thinking
any
sure the
any
people
game
working
like
on Assassin's Creed want to make another one of them.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, it's yeah. I just really like being able to let my mind run and do just like really creative stuff. So like yeah, it could be anything. Like I'm not opposed to anything.
Hmm.
But I only say meh to Planetside 3 because there's a lot of potential for anything. Like the sky's the limit, you know?
Hmm.
Especially
Why
like
stop
we
at
have
Planetside
technology
3?
that right, yeah, yeah. Like we have technology that people aren't replicating right now, right? Like
Hmm.
we have a game that is able to support the stuff and like, Fortnite is getting up there, but it's not, insane. Call of Duty is getting up there, but it's not insane.
Hmm.
And we just have this amazing um as much as people complain about the engine, like still doing something that
What
nobody
it
else
does
is
is
doing, right?
insane. It is,
Yeah,
speaking of nailing it. Let's put a bow on this thing. Um, Rel, you have been down a path of being you were in the Navy. You made YouTube videos for a game you were passionate about. You picked up and moved your life across the country to work on that game, and here you are now as the lead game designer of RPG. Would you recommend others follow in a similar path?
that one, no, totally not. But I will say that if you have an interest in game design, it's less about I guess less about what you I don't know or think and more about like what you're doing. So especially when we're like screening candidates and that sort of thing, we look at like the projects that they've been able to make and and like how they work with the team and what sorts of things that they've done with their life kind of up until this point. And all of like what you do every day, I guess, should be kind of a march towards something that you're passionate about.
Hmm.
And to that end, I think that if you really want to get into to game design, start learning and making stuff. Uh, I My route was very atypical, and you definitely can't expect that to happen to everybody. But there's definitely hope. Like you said, like gaming is not going to become less important or
Hmm.
less popular. So yeah, I think the future will kind of be written by the people who decide to make it. So
Well said.
get on it.